Welcome to National Action Network Saturday Action Rally. We're coming to you live on WLIB 1190 AM in New York. We're streaming to you across the country on a number of platforms, including Facebook and nationalactionnetwork.net. We are live right here in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street. Call somebody. Tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house and getting ready to come to you. We're so pleased that we're with you on this Saturday morning, because when you hear the cry of no justice, no peace, you know this is where the action is. Our president and founder is the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. The chairman of our board is the Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, senior pastor of Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, New York. I'm Attorney Michael Hardy. Will be with you throughout the broadcast this morning. We are so pleased to have today for our inspirational word segment the Reverend Brinson Walston. He's the lead servant at the Greater Blessings Ministries in the great borough of Brooklyn. Also, if it's Saturday, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, is in the house along with the Change Choir and Ensemble. And if it's Saturday, you know, our dear sister, the coordinator here at the House of Justice and special liaison to President Sharpton, will be here to ask you what's on your mind. That's right. She wants to know what you're thinking about, because if you've not been thinking about anything, you must be totally asleep, because there is so much happening wherever you are, wherever you live, wherever you walk, wherever you do whatever. There should be something on your mind that you want to share with Katrina Jefferson. And of course, if you've not had an opportunity to do so, you can still do so. You can call 877-626-4651 and let her know what's on your mind, and she'll let us know. You can also email it at what'sonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. And of course, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house. So you want to call somebody, you want to tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house and getting ready to come to you. Brothers and sisters, we also remind you that the NAN Youth Huddle will meet on Monday, January 23rd, live here at the House of Justice Auditorium beginning at 6 p.m. Please spread the word and get into the action with our youngest and brightest dreamers of today and leaders of tomorrow. For more information on the Youth Huddle experience, you can call 877-626-4651, or you can email nanyouthhuddle@gmail.com. Also, it's Saturday today and tomorrow Sunday, both at 5 p.m. So today at 5 p.m., tomorrow Sunday at 5 p.m., we invite you, of course, to tune in to MSNBC's Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. That's today at 5 p.m., tomorrow Sunday at 5 p.m. Tune in to MSNBC's Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. And then, of course, January 26th is the last Thursday of the month. If it's the last Thursday of the month, it is a legal night here at National Action Network. And brothers and sisters, hear me far, hear me wide, hear me close. We are coming back to legal night live, fully in person. The attorneys will be here, we'll be here, and wherever you are, you can be here. So we will be here live and in person this Thursday, 7 p.m., legal night here at National Action Network. It is the last Thursday of the month. So spread the word. It's the last Thursday of the month. So legal night at National Action Network is back. And we'll be back live, and we look forward to seeing you. So tell your friends, your family, anybody who may need to have a little bit of time to ask some questions of an attorney get some direction on legal issues that may be confronting you, or you just may need some counseling, you may want to come on and be here for this Thursday evening, 7 p.m., for Legal Night, which is always the last Thursday of the month. But right now, brothers and sisters, Dr. Alvin Ponda, Vice President of the New York City chapter, has some additional information for you.
Thank you, Attorney Hardy. Good morning, brothers and sisters, listeners and viewers, and thank you for tuning in to another Saturday Action Rally with the National Action Network. Here's some information to keep you in the know. Biden headlines, National Action Network's MLK breakfast. President Joe Biden delivered a rousing speech last Monday at the National Action Network's Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's breakfast in Washington, D.C. President Biden said, quote, "With all of you here, together we've made some important progress. 2 years ago, our economy was on its back, flat on its back. People were hurting, particularly in minority communities. Black Americans and other people of color were disproportionately hit. And Kamala and I and our administration acted decisively with the help of people in this room to not only rescue the economy from the pandemic downturn, but to lay the foundation for a stronger and more resilient and more equitable economy for decades to come." Reverend Al Sharpton presented awards to the following individuals. The MLK Day Lifetime of Excellence in Public Policy was awarded to the Honorable Nancy Pelosi, Speaker Emerita, U.S. House of Representatives. The MLK Day Lifetime of Excellence in Public Service Award was given to Mignon Moore, Principal, Dewey Square Group. The MLK Visionary Award went to Andrea Waters King. The MLK Labor Leader Award went to Ray Curry, President, United Automobile, Aerospace, and Agricultural Implement Workers of America, UAW. Later that afternoon in New York City, NAN hosted our annual Public Policy Forum at our national headquarters here at the House of Justice. Local elected officials have participated in this New York City forum to address, and they did participate, to address the local community on what they will do in the coming year to continue making Dr. King's dream possible, and how efforts this year will align with his legacy. This year's Martin Luther King Day celebration commemorated Dr. King's legacy following one of the most historic presidential elections of our lifetime, as we reckon with a new configuration of both our national and state legislatures. Now you can watch President Biden's speech on our website at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Loudmouth is now streaming on Apple TV and Amazon. Amazon and Apple TV have started streaming Loudmouth, The Life and Battles of Al Sharpton, on its platform. Join National Action Network in support of this documentary that chronicles Reverend Sharpton's activism. Consider hosting a watch party for our National 2023 Kickoff Tour. Save the date. National Action Network's 2023 convention will be held at the Sheraton New York Times Square Hotel in New York City from April 12th through 15th. The 12th through 15th. Save the date and visit nationalactionnetwork.net daily for free registration and schedule updates. Welcome to all of you who have tuned in and join us also via live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and also live on Facebook at the National Action Network. If this is your first time joining us, and or if you're not a member of NAN, we welcome you to NAN and invite you to join us and get into the action today. For more information and to join, you may visit again, that's www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or call 877-626-4651. That number again is 877-626-4651. And just text the word NAN, N-A-N, to 59769. Welcome.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ponder. Right now, brothers and sisters, Katrina Jefferson, liaison to Reverend Al Sharpton, and does everything here at the House of Justice. She's our coordinator here at the House of Justice, and she's here to ask you what's on your mind. Good morning, Katrina.
Good morning, Attorney Hardy, and good morning to each and every one of you who are here live here at the House of Justice. To those that are watching by way of live streaming on our Facebook pages and on our website, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and to those that are listening by way of WLIB 1190 AM, welcome to another weekend's conversation of What's on Your Mind, where you, the community, the membership base, the people have the opportunity to dialogue, to interact with the National Action Network 24 hours a day by emailing us at whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651. All right, we're going to hear from a couple of people in the audience, and I've got a few very important emails to share with us that came in this week as well. Great morning. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and briefly share with us what's on your mind.
Good day, everybody, and God bless everybody. My name is Sister Reverend Word. I'm from Heaven, born in Harlem, and I'm 71 years old and new, and I'm a National Action Network lifetime member. Of course, what's on my mind is Bible scriptures. Christ Jesus showed us that we are supposed to be loud mouths for the good of the people. So what I want to also share with you, we also be trained up to be loud mouths. So in my consciousness, I daydream about how did God prepare me to be here? And one of the first public speaking loudmouth people I got to know was Adam Clayton Powell Jr., because he baptized me when I was 16. I also was taught by Professor Henry Clark, Professor Ben, and also Reverend Sharpton. So you know we got credentials to be loudmouths for the good of people. God bless you and good day.
Good morning. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and tell us what's on your mind.
Yeah, what's on my mind? Good morning, everyone, brothers and sisters. My name is Merlin Lawrence, and I'm the mother of Bernard Placide, who was killed by September 3rd by 3 police officers, Brian and Fernandez, who tased my son several times, and Sharp, who killed my son. Since that day, no charge on them. They didn't do nothing to them. January 24th at council meeting, we want everyone to come and help me to support the cause, because they didn't use any protocol, any technique to save my son. That's when on January 24th, we want everybody to come to support the cause, because we want them to be held accountable for what they did to my son. They didn't do nothing to them since that day. They're still working, nothing's been done for them. That's when I need your help. I cannot do it by myself. I need your support. Come support me the address is 75 Van Brent Street in Englewood, New Jersey, 07626. Come to support me. I cannot do it by myself. Thank you.
Absolutely. And National Action Network definitely stands with the Placide family. And for those that are not physically here at the House of Justice, you may call in and we'll make sure to have the address and the directions for you if you would like to be with us as we support that family in Englewood. All right, we've got an email coming in from Wanda Fawcett of Harlem, New York. And it reads, Happy New Year's, my advocacy family. I really wish I could be there in person, but I am truly with you in the spirit of love and truth. As we speak truth to power, many of us who have had trouble with disability transportation, but we use our advocacy in many ways. Calling our politicians on Black agenda in the New York City, around the country, and around the world. We also do grassroots passing update information from the youth rally, which is a magnificent outreach for the youth, also speaking to everyone about the great documentary Loudmouth, and getting updates from the NAN rally on Saturdays. Getting great gospel music, and the spiritual word of God is so fulfilling and inspiring. Thank you, Reverend Al, and all of the NAN family. Loudmouth really brought me up to date. I wanted so much to see it again and again, a documentary one can see over and over, tearjerker and true. Finally, yes, so much is going on in the world that can blow a person's mind. Anxiety set in, and the belief that nothing has or will change. But that's a stone-faced lie from the devil himself. We must continue in faith and in hope. I am older now and was young, and God has never failed. Please don't give up on God, for he will not give up on you. God never fails. We have the power to overcome. Thank you, seniors. I am standing on your shoulders for all your bloody sweat and tears of the years gone by. Sincerely yours, Sister Wanda, loving NAN member. And she's from Harlem, New York. Next comes from Christine Dudley, who is the chair or president of our Interpreter Advocates Committee, and she's from here in Harlem. Good morning, my NAN family and friends. I am Christine Dudley, president of Interpreter Advocates Committee and advisor to the House of Justice Deaf Club. What's on my mind is about sharing with the world and the support and education our deaf community receives from the National Action Network. We have been in existence since 2008. A bump in the road happened in July 2021 when I was hospitalized and diagnosed with a rare heart disease, eventually suffered a stroke, and was hospitalized with COVID. Well, it's 2023, and I am still here of sound mind and grateful spirit. Kudos to our interpreting team, A.J. Jones, Sandra Jeffries, Lisa Lockley, Kanara Price, and Deaf Club co-chairs Tanya Ingram, Cynthia Hemmings, and Donna Miles. That's the team who, in spite of the bump in the road, continue to move the engines of our committee forward. Zoom virtual interpreting takes place at every Saturday rally. You can't see us, but we see everything, and our committed group of volunteer interpreters work as a team to make sure this service is provided. You don't even know who they are because they never look for recognition or a pat on the back. Just keep on providing a much-needed service. Our deaf members are grateful they can continue to learn and improve themselves based on the teachings of the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton and this NAN body. What's on my mind is wondering if this organization is fully aware of the difference you make within the deaf community. Trust me, it is significant and noteworthy. We continue to hold Deaf Club meetings, workshops, and events all on Zoom. We don't worry about special seating. Our deaf members are always virtually a part of this NAN audience. Technology afforded us an opportunity to expand our services for our deaf members. We are also able to bring together interpreters from around the country to support NAN and create new interpreting initiatives. We continue to provide interpreting teams for special NAN events such as the MLK Breakfast in Washington, NAN conventions, and others throughout the year. Because of this organization, we continue to be a leading force for justice and accessibility in the deaf community. Deaf and hearing organizations reach out to us for advice and support. How thankful we are to NAN that we can provide our services to the deaf and hard of hearing communities, regardless of race or creed, while knowing our volunteers will use professional integrity and professional proficiency. What's on my mind is thanking Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton and the NAN family for all you do for our community. I pray that God will continue to bless you. We, the interpreters and deaf leadership, thank you for the opportunity to serve. And that comes from our very own Christine Dudley, the president of our Interpreters Advocates Committee. And last, this really is a piece of NAN history brought to our attention by our sort of archivist, Josh Cureton, who's also one of our lead advisors to the Crisis Committee. Good day, Katrina. What's on my mind today as we approach the 20th anniversary of the fire at the first House of Justice, Monday, January 23rd, 2023. I reflect on that day 20 years ago. The day prior, January 22nd, 2003, NAN held its annual King Day celebration, as customary. The community, NAN members, and many of the elected officials, including Senator Hillary Clinton, showed up, and the event went according to schedule. No one knew what the next day would bring. I remember receiving a call that morning from my cousin who said, "Josh, what's going on at Revs?" I asked him, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Turn the TV to channel New York 1. And there it was. The House of Justice was on fire. I jumped in my car, drove from the Bronx to Harlem, and stood outside with NAN members, many crying, the community, and some elected officials, and watched the FDNY extinguish the fire at NAN's beloved House of Justice. When the fire inspectors finished their inspection, they escorted Rev and some of us to view the aftermath. The first thing that I noticed was the sheer chaos from the fire. Chairs were turned over and the podium was destroyed. The NAN banner was gone. It was black and charred throughout the auditorium. It was Harlem's 911. As I took in all the damage and the memories started to enter my mind, I began to wonder, how are we going to recover? And at that moment, it was one image that I witnessed that let me know we were going to be all right. I observed to the left of the stage, out of the chaos in that hall, it was one thing that wasn't knocked over. It was the mahogany fist that Nan commissioned in 1999 so it can be raised in the year 2000 for the new century. As a symbol of our commitment to continue to fight for justice and fairness in the shine, it was scorched. But it was still standing tall. And here we stand. 20 years later, Nan is still here, still standing tall like that mahogany fist that continues to stand tall in Rev's private office here at the Second House of Justice. The message for me 20 years ago is, the House of Justice is not the building that we are housed in, but the justice that is housed in our spirits. And as long as there are people who are committed to the principles of justice and fairness, there will always be a house of justice. No justice, no peace. And that was submitted by our very own Josh Curitan, longtime land member and archivist. And last, we're going to make an announcement. February 4th will be our Black History Month celebration here at NAN, immediately following the rally, sponsored by the NAN Education and Political Action Committees. And it will start at 12 o'clock noon. Keynote address will be by Owen Rogers, NAN Men's Auxiliary member. There'll be several musical and performing arts presentation as well. For additional information, you can give us a call at 877-626-4651, but save that date, Saturday, February 4th. Also, immediately following today's rally at 11:45 will be the Education Committee's meeting. So if you are here in the house, fantastic, and you want to be a part, you can certainly join them at the back of the auditorium. And if you are not here yet, you still got time to get here. And if you are unable to get here this Saturday, you can give us a call, again, at 877-626-4651 to be connected to that committee. That concludes this weekend's conversation of What's on Your Mind? Keep in mind, everything you heard here was simply the thoughts and the viewpoints of the contributors and do not reflect those of the National Action Network directly. And you can interact with us 24 hours a day by emailing us at whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651. Back to you, Attorney Hardy.
All right. Thank you, Katrina Jefferson, for What's on Your Mind. Right now, brothers and sisters, we're going to bring you in the house. What does that mean? Sandra Mitchell, Chaplain Sandra Mitchell, who heads up the Housing Committee here, is going to come and talk to us about the work of the committee that happens here at the House of Justice. Sandra Mitchell, Chairperson of the Housing Committee.
Good morning, and thank you, Attorney Hardy. Happy New Year and happy new purpose-driven you. There's no time like the present to join the National Action Network. Get into the action and make a difference in your community. I pray God's perfect peace, love, and power to everyone under the sound of my voice. I want to thank you, Attorney Hardy, for waking us up under the sound of your voice. It's a great day when we can gather together at the House of Justice under the divinely anointed and appointed leadership of our very own people's preacher and liberator, our Honorable Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. I give thanks to God for him. And our chairman of the board, Reverend Dr. Franklin D. Richardson, and our own executive director and legal eagle, Attorney Michael Harding, always there to make sure that we are in the know. Once again, my name is Chaplain Sandra Mitchell, and I am the new housing chairwoman at the National Action Network, where our mission is to empower our communities to stand up and fight for what is our human right: real, affordable, safe, clean housing. Help me to say, fight, fight, fight. Housing is a human right. Fight, fight, fight. Housing is a human right. You can't leave me out here. Fight, fight, fight. Housing is a human right, and it is a human right. I want to thank our Honorable Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton and the entire executive staff and the board of directors for embracing the campaign of the Right to Counsel, launched by CASA, Community Action for Safe Apartments, and the Northwest Bronx Community Clergy Coalition, and many other community-based organizations across the 5 boroughs. We campaigned and we won for the right to counsel to be law in all boroughs. We won for just a few zip codes with the highest eviction. We continue to fight, and we won for all 5 boroughs, and we continue to fight for the right to counsel to be citywide, and we won. Now, we need all hands on deck for the right to counsel to be statewide. Presently, the housing courts are experiencing case overload. They are pushing eviction cases without allowing the tenants time to obtain legal counsel. Let's fight to adjourn all unrepresented cases. And so I want to ask you to answer the call and join the new housing committee so we can win the fight together. Fight, fight, fight. Housing is a human right. Yeah, some of y'all got it, I got it. We have information to share with you and how to connect to monthly legal clinics on Zoom or in person to get quality repairs. Stop landlord harassment. Defend your home from eviction. Allow me to empower you to start the new year with the new you by becoming a member of the National Action Network. You can get into the action by calling 877-626-4651 to become a member of the National Action Network, and then send your inquiry to join the Housing Committee by sending me an email. My new email is abundantlifesandra@gmail.com. abundantlifesandra@gmail.com. Personally, I became a housing advocate when I grew tired of moving from place to place due to no heat, no hot water, no repairs in the tenant apartments, as well as rental apartments in private homes and co-op apartments. That expanded to shelters, and just recently, advocacy for proper heat and air conditioning in a nursing home. Speaking about no heat in your apartment, I want to share with you information about how to apply for a free heat sensor to track how often your apartment is illegally cold. Know the facts. New York City requires your landlord to heat your apartment October 1st through May 31st. From 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., it must be 65 degrees Fahrenheit or above when the temperature outside is below 55. You know, 65, 55. Some of y'all playing numbers, y'all know. And from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., it must be 62 degrees Fahrenheit or above, regardless of the outside temperature. Log on to heatseek.org/qualify. And if you have any questions about the HeatSeek Center, please email at info@heatseek.org. At the Housing Committee, we are joining with other community-based organizations and coalitions to educate and empower our communities to know their rights, to stand up and fight back. Send me an email today or as soon as you possibly can to abundantlifesandra@gmail.com. Please place in the subject line, answering the call for NAN Housing Committee. Meet the first Saturday of every month for 30 to 45 minutes or as needed via conference call or Zoom. We all know that knowledge is power. We have several housing classes that are coming up, and we want you to know your rights about affordable housing, succession rights, leases, major capital improvement, rent guidelines board, and how you can stop this sin of this country, the sin of this New York City with eviction processes. So thank you very much for your listening ear. Amen.
All right, Chaplain Sandra Mitchell, thank you for that. Right now, brothers and sisters, she's a member of the Change Choir, and she's got a solo for us this morning. Tisha Hunter.
Praise the Lord. Come on, give God some praise this morning. Amen. If you know how good he is, if you know how great he is. How great is our God. Listen. The splendor of a king, clothed in majesty. Let all the earth rejoice. Let all the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in light, and tries to hide. They tremble at his voice. They tremble at his voice, yeah. How great is our God.
Miss Tisha Hunter, our soloist this morning, member of the Change Choir, and of course, all under the direction of our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson. Brothers and sisters, very quickly, want to remind you again that this Thursday, January 26th, is the last Thursday of the month, so we invite everybody to be back here at the House of Justice for Legal Night. We start at 7 p.m. Call your friends, families, those that may need some answers to things that are happening in their life legally. Our panel of attorneys will be here. We hope you will be here. We'll be back live for the first time since the pandemic and hope to see you at 7 p.m. this Thursday, January 26th, here at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street. If it's the last Thursday of the month, it's Legal Night at National Action Network. We look forward to see you. You can always call 877-626-4651 to get any additional information. Brothers and sisters, Gina Williams, chairperson of the Education Committee, is going to come and talk to us about how education matters. Let's give her a welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Attorney Hardy. Thank you, NAM family. I'm up here today to express the importance of the Education Committee councils. And right now, we are in an election process throughout the city of New York. There are 32 city councils. And I need for people to envision how you can be a part. You just need to have a child in public school, or you can be appointed by the Manhattan Borough President or Brooklyn Borough President, whichever borough you are in, or the public advocate. And the site that you could go to is schools.nyc.gov/elections 2023. The reason why this is so important is because we sit in these rooms and we rally on policies, procedures, legislations, work on the guidelines for what's the district. And right now, we are at a cause and crisis. We have children killing each other. And this is something that is very strange. And it reminded me of Strange Fruits by the lyrics of Billie Holiday. And the reason why that this is so profound and proficient right now is because our Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, they tried to make him a strange fruit when they tried to stab him. We had lots of leaders who have been assassinated. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the list goes on. But the lyrics about strange fruits, southern trees that bear strange fruit, southern trees that bear strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood on the roots, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the polar trees, pastoral scene of gathering south, the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth, sweet magnolias, sweet and fresh, then sudden smell of burning flesh. Here's a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rot, for the tree to drop. Here is a strange and bitter cry. And we do not need our elected officials, all of color right now in this season, to become strange fruit. We do not need our children who are out here killing each other to become strange fruit. We do not need our whole NAN family and this bigger city and a global nationwide fighting for the rights of education and fighting for freedom and equality of justice. We cannot be strange fruit. Please join our education committee. If you know someone, their children is in public school, encourage them to get on the councils and to run as the elections are being held. The application process is closing at February 13th. If you need further information, I'll be in the back of the room at the end of the rally during our education committee. Thank you very much.
All right, brothers and sisters, right now, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson.
Hallelujah, salvation and glory, honor and power unto the Lord our God. For the Lord our
That is the Change Choir under the direction of Minister Tyrone Richardson. Brothers and sisters, it is our honor and privilege this morning to have with us for our inspirational word the Reverend Brinson Walston, lead servant of the Greater Blessings Ministry in the great borough of Brooklyn. Let's welcome him.
Good morning, and God bless you to our NAN delegates and to our great founder and president, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, to the chairman of the board, to Dr. Richardson, and to all of you, my father's children that are present here in this great auditorium, and to those of you that are watching and viewing us live, I want to say God bless you and good morning. We praise God today for the opportunity to be here, and I want to be very brief with you and suggest and to say to all of you today that are listening and watching that this is the hour in which we must remember that Jesus cannot just be celebrated during season and holiday times, but Jesus is the Christ for all seasons. Amen. There is a word of inspiration that I want to lift up to you very quickly, and I will be very brief. It's found in the Gospel according to Mark, the 4th chapter. And there you will find in the verses 35 to about verses 38 that you will find these words recorded, and I am paraphrasing. Jesus tells these disciples that are sitting at the seashore to gather themselves, gather their belongings, get onto the boat, and we will venture over onto the other side. As he gathers them and they enter onto the boat, and as they travel onto the other side, the record therefore suggests and state that Jesus therefore finds a pillow, makes his way into the hinder part of the ship, lays down, goes to sleep, and begins to rest. As they begin to venture and travel on the ship and into the waters, the scripture begins to record and suggest that the winds begin to blow so boisterous to where it gets into the water and the water begins to fill the ship. The men that are on the boat, that are on this ship with Jesus, who have traveled with him for so long now, begin to fear, begin to panic, and begin to worry and say, Master, carest thou not that we perish? I'm just reading the scripture, y'all. And while they wake Jesus up, there are a few words that Jesus utters to them in response. Why are ye so fearful? Are ye of little faith? Three things I want to give you, and I'm getting ready to go to my seat. Number one, my brothers and sisters, can I suggest and tell all of us that are in this room today that we have been through storms in our lives. It doesn't matter where we find ourselves economically. It doesn't matter where we find ourselves geographically. It doesn't matter where you are, what color your skin is, what place you come from geographically. We all have dealt with storms in our lives. We are dealing with storms right now in New York City where cartons of eggs are almost $10. Y'all don't want to talk to me. I said we are dealing with storms in which education, oh my God, has been shifted to where we have subjected our children to learn from iPads and tablets, but then therefore give them promotion in doubt letters. We are dealing with storms, but the same storms, my brothers and sisters, that you and I are facing right now, God gives us a constellation to the storm. Let me give you the good news. The constellation is a promise. The promise that he gave to the disciples is the same promise I want to give to you and I this morning. Don't worry about what you are going to face. We are going to make it onto the other side. And I don't know if that's good news for you, but I want to tell you, coming out of a pandemic, coming out of social distancing myself, coming out of COVID-19, dealing with monkeypox, y'all don't want to talk? I need some good news to know that we are going to make it onto the other side of a divorce, the other side of a pandemic, the other side of grueling and impatient and unwavering disease. We are going to make it. And I don't know know if that's good news for you, but you ought to make that your declaration in this month of this new year that we are going to make it in spite of what the government may say, in spite of what legislation may say, in spite of what the status quo of our economy may say. My hope is built on nothing less but Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame. I gotta go, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. On Christ, the solid rock I stand. All of the ground, it is sinking sand. I want to tell you, my brothers and sisters, that we have a promise from the Lord. But don't you be worried. Don't be dismayed. But I got to tell you the truth, my brothers and sisters. Anytime God gives you a promise, you ought to know that the indicator to let you know you are on the right track is that there is a problem that will arise. My grandmama used to say it like this: sometimes things will get worse before they get better. The promise that was married, oh God, to the problem in this text is that there were 9 disciples, if you will, out of the 12 that have been on the water before. You remember in the previous chapters when Jesus was recruiting his disciples, he says, I want you to stop fishing for fish because you have not been catching nothing all night. But if you come and join my business, I'll make you fisher of men. And I want to tell somebody in this room this morning that this is the hour where you cannot be fishing and casting your net and not catching anything. But this is the hour where you connect with a house like Nan, and let God convert you to be fishers of men. Men to stand against equality, men to stand against Jim Crow laws, men to stand to say, for God I'll live and for God I'll die. My brothers and sisters, don't you be worried about the problems that may show up. Don't you be dismayed about the perplexing problems that may arise. But I got to go to my seat when I tell you this. The disciples had good enough sense to wake up Jesus. Why? Because he was the only power on the ship that had the potential and the possibility to change the situation. My brothers and sisters, let me tell you this. If you want to change the situation, if you want to change the setting in your life, wake up the power that's on board with you. And his name is Jesus the Christ. God bless you. God keep you is my prayer.
We want to thank Reverend Brinson Walsh and lead servant, the Greater Blessing Ministries in Brooklyn, for our inspirational word. Right now, the Change Choir. That is the Change Choir under the direction of Minister Tyrone Richardson. Brothers and sisters, I want you to get on your feet. I want you to put your hands together for the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it? 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 Fist bump the person next to you. Tell them you love them. In the 1930s, in Atlanta, Georgia, there was a preacher that wanted to send his daughter and son to school. They told him, despite the fact that the young boy seemed to have a good grasp of what was going on academically, even at a young age, that he had to go to the colored school. He had to go to Booker T. Washington School. He wasn't allowed to go to the white school. And this man raised his son and daughter, ended up sending them on to other schools. In the 50s, his son got a PhD from Boston University. And this was at a time that blacks were not allowed to go to Ivy League schools. And that young man took that PhD and went back down south from Boston and kept fighting segregation. They called him all kind of names. They indicted him for income tax evasion. They stabbed him in Harlem. They did all they could to malign him, but he kept on fighting. And this past Monday, the school he couldn't go to was closed. The places that denied him to eat were closed. It was a national holiday celebrating his birthday, Martin Luther King Day. If the principal had known in the 30s that his grandchildren would get a day off celebrating the birthday of the kid he wouldn't let in school, he would have apologized then. If you keep on going, your change will come. On Monday morning in Washington, D.C., one of the right-wing conservatives was talking about, I had been on Morning Joe that morning early, talking about he doesn't understand why people would let people like me stand up and keep saying things that should not be said. And the lady standing down near the Mayflower Hotel said, "You hear that guy on Fox talking about Sharpton?" And the man said, "I can't get it from you now. I got to move on." She said, "Where you going?" She says, "I'm trying to move before the barricades come." She said, "The barricades," they obviously had met at this coffee shop often and got their coffee. She said, "What barricades? I know barricades near." He said, "Yeah, it's going to be barricades around the Mayflower today." She said, "Why are they having barricades?" She said, "Because the guy you talk about, Al Sharpton, the president of the United States, is coming to speak at his breakfast for Dr. King." She saw me as a rabble-rouser. But God takes rabble-rousers to shake up things and to change things. And if you're faithful over a few things, He'll make you rule over many, and your change will come. National Action Network Change Choir. Give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally. For you that are here live at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the Village of Harlem, and you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York, and for you that are watching us on various media platforms, we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning to give our report on where the action is. Give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Hardy, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, and give Chris and our little orchestra some. Certainly we're happy. Give a hand to our inspirational speaker this morning, Reverend Brinson. Reverend Walston, we certainly enjoyed him as he talked, and that is a great message as we head into this year, that it was their faith that they're faulted. You know, God don't falter. It's your faith in God that falters. And I think that it is important that we understand that message. It was a great message. Give Dr. Walston another hand. Let me say before I go anywhere else that I want to express is our brother Rodney Jones in the house. Yes, I want to express our condolences. Rodney, who's here every week, lost his sister this week. And we want him to know he's in our prayers. Rodney Jones, I call him the mayor of Queensbridge Houses. And, but he's a faithful and loyal servant of this organization. And I want him to know. Also, I want, as you know, I'm on Saturdays and Sundays at 5 on MSNBC Politics Nation. We're going to break down a lot of this debt ceiling stuff and where we're going in terms of, you know, Florida. I got some issues I'm going to talk about. I'm going there in the next few days. So watch it tonight, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, tonight and tomorrow. And I'm going to have some of the senators and Congress people on. I don't understand what they're doing that is going to be putting us at risk. But I mentioned my show because, you know, some folk can't stand for you to have nothing by yourself. You know, I grew up, everything I got, my sister wanted one. I got new sneakers, she had to get new sneakers. She was older than me. I got new whatever, she wanted new whatever. And, you know, I outgrew all of that, got grown and all of that. Now I got kids that I got to show, they got to have a show. So we all went down and watched Sharpton Sisters. On Fox Soul. And they were on every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And their first guest was me. And they had the nerve to question me about how well I knew them. They didn't ask me nothing about police brutality, nothing about the economy. We're going to ask you how well you know us. But they're on for the next several Wednesdays. Got Malcolm X. It's based on people that are known and relatives, offspring, how they have to handle that. You know, people that get famous don't understand that there is a downside to fame. And the more you know, the less you can do, because everything you do gonna be known too. You know, you get known, you can't cuss folk out like you used to. And their show is going to be dealing with all of that every week, different folks. Give them a hand. We're proud. Dominique and Ashley. And lastly, I want to announce one of the things that we're very serious about this organization, operating as an organization. One of the things that I've always been very cognizant of, Reverend Walston, is that many of our civil rights groups become personality cults, where they follow the founder and the leader, and then when he's gone or can't operate no more, the organization dies. And it takes that kind of leadership to energize an organization. Started, but if let's welcome our Impact Television family. It takes that kind of charismatic leadership to start some organizations or churches and energize it, but then you've got to have the maturity and the security to institutionalize the organization or church so it outlasts you. So we're constantly trying to do that in National Action Network, because I don't intend for National Action Network to not go on even after I'm doing other things. We plan to do Civil Rights Museum. We plan to do other things in media. I ain't planning to go nowhere. So I ain't talking about dying, y'all, so I don't want y'all. I'll be around for a long time. Me and Marcus Al was talking the other day about what we're going to do on his 21st birthday. I intend to be around a minute. But I want the organization to be able to continue to serve and be effective, because I've seen too many die. And so we're constantly moving things and putting things in place. We're planning right now our convention, April the 12th through the 15th. And you think we had a great King Day with President Biden in Washington and all the officials here. We're going to have an even greater, more impactful convention with all of our leading preachers, activists, officials convening to see what we're going to do as these right-wingers have taken over the Congress. But in order to make that work, you've got to have people that can keep the oil on the machine. So we announced that starting Monday in the New York City chapter, right here, the new director of operations is the pastor of the Mother AME Zion Church in Harlem. Stand up, Reverend Dr. Malcolm Byrd. So Reverend Byrd is going to be here working out of House of Justice and making operations work, working along with Katrina Jefferson, who's our liaison director to me, and working with, where is Derek? All right, and Derek Perkinson. And then that's so that our teams work and coordinate, and our auxiliaries, our chapters, our committees. I wanted to make sure they were, you know, we always put people in a committee, and committees not meeting. Well, he gonna make sure they meet. And y'all don't elect. Well, y'all gonna get elected. See, a lot of folk don't call elections because they don't want to get voted out. Some of y'all got the Donald Trump syndrome going on in here. Hello. So we got somebody who's been pastoring for many years, so he knows about how we be playing them games and make the wheels turn. Because let me tell you something, what we are facing in this country, we do not have time to not have well-oiled machines as our organization. People are suffering. People are under siege. Let me tell you something, this whole thing about the debt ceiling in Congress, people act like that's some economic theory that they know on Wall Street. If they do not raise the debt ceiling, it will affect you and me. Let me tell you why. What they're talking about, first of all, let me explain to you what debt ceiling is, because a lot of us don't understand it. The debt ceiling is like some of you that have a credit card, all right? Or even debit card, but a credit card is a better example. If you got a credit card and your credit, you can charge up to $10,000 or $1,000. And you go and you want to purchase something that's higher than your credit rate. You call and try to raise your credit rate so you can purchase what it is you need that's over your credit extension, because you buying and purchasing not on what you taking out your pocket, you're buying based on your credit. Y'all with me? If they don't let you raise your credit over the $1,000, you can't purchase what it is you're trying to purchase. Now, the United States functions in debt, but they have a credit based on bonds, based on their dealing with tax revenue, based on their dealing in trade with other countries. Every year they have to deal with whether they have to raise the revenue. Otherwise, they can't pay their bills. If they can't pay their bills, Social Security is affected. Medicare is affected because you can't raise the level of your credit. So when you got these Republicans talking about we're not going to raise the credit unless you cut the spending, what does that mean? That means they want to cut the programs that finance what goes to the people that need the help the most. That's what the debate is. They be trying to use all these big words, and it ain't that hard. But if they can make it difficult, you won't understand they talking about you. Right. We want to cut spending. And people, well, that sound all right until you understand they talking about spending on you. Now, the same folks that want to cut spending, the right-wing Republicans, were the same folks that voted when Trump wanted to give and did give a tax break to the zillionaires and the billionaires. Well, what that got to do with anything, Reverend? Because when they gave them breaks, the tax revenues went down. So when the tax revenues went down, it affected the debt because you had less revenue coming in. And so let me get this right. You want to give a tax break to the Republican right, your billionaires. But then you're going to say, well, we ain't got enough money to raise the debt, so we want to take Medicare away from grandma and Social Security from people that paid into the Social Security fund. We are not going to sit by and allow that to happen. That's why we're having our convention. Because we want to deal with everything from economics to education to criminal justice, and we have the people that can impact it at our convention. I don't believe in having these meetings where we be just rough talking to each other. I go to some meetings, everybody just take turns on cussing out folk that ain't in the room. Reason we have the president or the president's cabinet members and heads of different things is they need to hear what we got to say. And we need to hear what they got to say. On Monday, right here, we had the Washington breakfast that we've been doing down there, our Washington Bureau for 12 years, and then we come back to Harlem. Everybody from the governor to the mayor to the state attorney general all come on the platform, talk about what they're doing in the spirit of King. Why? Because Dr. King was one that impacted legislation and policy. I grew up in the King movement. I was 13 when he was killed. That same year, I'd become youth director of Operation Breadbasket he founded in the chapter here in New York under Bill Jones and Reverend Jesse Jackson. So I'm not guessing about the King stuff. I grew up in it. Many of you that have been around here a while know Mrs. King used to come to our convention every year. Martin still comes. Martin co-chaired our breakfast on Monday. So that's why I tell these conservatives, you don't know Dr. King better than Mrs. Coretta Scott King. The picture of her right there taking me Dr. King's grave. You don't know Dr. King better than Martin III. But if you are insecure or unintelligent, or both, you'll let folk get on Fox and tell you who Dr. King was rather than his own children. Never somebody talking about, well, Dr. King wouldn't be with Al Sharpton. Well, why is Martin III with him? Right. Why is Mrs. King with him? How are you going to out-king the kings? Hello. And right from not only the debt, gone to where in Florida, all this talk about how Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, is better than Trump and gonna beat Trump, and some polls got him up, some polls got him down. Now, this week, he instructed the Board of Education in the state of Florida that they could not teach in their advanced placement classes African American history, saying that it was not needed and that it was not of a certain level of education. They are taking black history out of the schools in Florida. If we allow it to happen in Florida, they will use it at states all over this country. And we are so busy fighting each other that we are not fighting the enemies that are trying to erase our history. So I'm going down to Florida. We're going to deal with this. This is an insult, and it is dangerous. If your children don't know who they are and don't know their history, once you disconnect somebody from their history, then you can redo them to be whoever you want to make them. Why do they cut the root? Because if there's no root, there's no fruit. If there's no root, there's no tree. So once they disconnect you from the root, your own history, then they can do whatever you want. That's why I keep talking about the danger of how they're playing the psyche of our children. Tell you, well, don't listen to grandma, that's old school. Don't listen to grandpa, they don't know what they're talking about. And don't that old music. We got some new music for you. Well, that's in the Bible. When they, the three Hebrew boys bow to the music. They mess with the music because, you get the right beat, folk will be doing anything. I told y'all last week, people singing at every birthday party, happy birthday to you. Not knowing that Stevie Wonder wrote that song about Martin Luther King. He didn't write it about you. You up there just a pumping. Like Stevie was talking about you. Stevie didn't even know you was here. So you got the music now telling the children of scientists, the children of mathematicians, the children of theologians, that they ain't nothing but niggas, hoes, and bees. And you got to beat and begin internalizing that. And then we've so poisoned our own citadels of worship that the churches are imitating them rather than directing them on what they ought to be doing. I want y'all to think about that now. Was a time the black church set the standard. Now we're imitating them. We got to put a little hip-hop in it. No, we got to put a little holy in the hip-hop. I ain't against hip-hop, but there's some gospel hip-hop artists that have not compromised the message. But you can't get out of this inequality calling yourself a name. Well, Reverend, we just talk slang. I used to talk slang. All of us use the N-word. But then you had to wake up and say, wait a minute. I tell that story all the time. Some of my friends in the rap world called meeting, gonna put me on the carpet when I came out against the N-word and said we need to stop it. We marched about it. And they said, well, Mal, you don't understand. We got freedom of speech. I said, no, you don't. I said, what do you mean? I said, if you go in the studio, Reverend Walson, I told him, and cut a record, and said in the record, the derogatory term for Irish, they will not let you put it out. Say it about Italians, they will not let you put it out. said about Jews, they would not let you put it out. They would not let you put it out against anybody but yourself. So let me get this right. Can't call Jews' name, can't call Greeks' name, can't call Italians' name, can't call Irish name. All of that is hate speech. Call black folk niggers, that's free speech. You can't be that stupid. Crippling the minds of your children. And they put so much on you till you turn on those that are trying to help you. And they build this self-hate in you. Why is every black activist have to always fight their own? Because we all are trained in self-hate to where anybody that stands up for us, we are mad at them because they reflect on us what we've been taught to hate. I mean, all black leaders, they love them when they die. But they talked about Dr. King like a dog while he was alive. And Malcolm. And Medgar, all of them. Never died knowing they were loved. And the greatest grief they got was from black folks. One of the things that I'm thankful to God about is that I grew up in the movement, so by growing up under Bill Jones and Reverend Jackson and others, I knew what to expect because I saw it happen to them. So when I got older and people that I helped turned on me, I knew that was coming. I try to tell that to a lot of the young sisters and brothers with me, is the ones you help is the one gonna hurt you. But don't worry about that. You do the work anyhow. But if you're looking for folks to be grateful for you investing in them, you might as well stop and do something else. I mean, I was raised in it and saw it, but it's in the book. 10 lepers came to Jesus. Jesus healed the 10 lepers. Only one went back. Jesus said, where are the other 9? They got healed and walked away. I wanted to be the one to come back because he didn't have to heal me. When the doctors didn't work, when the medicine didn't work, when the prescriptions didn't work, he healed me. That's why I'm here every Saturday morning to say thank you. If you can't be grateful, you can't be blessed. True. Yeah, you may know more than your parents. And you know why? Because they sent you to schools that they couldn't go to. You ever thought about that? The reason why you know mathematics better than mama is mama couldn't go to the schools you went to. But mama made sure you could go. So how smart are you to mock the people that open a door that they couldn't go through? So that's why on King Day, we dealt with it the way we deal with it. We want those in power to know they got to come to the folks that Dr. King gave his life for. Yes. This is not a day for you to be dealing with anything other than the folks right here on the ground that need to hear what you did and what you gonna do. And we've been doing that for 32 years next month, and we're gonna keep doing it for 32 more. It is, though, now they're different, I keep repeating this. There are different tribes in our community. Always was. Africa is a continent, not a country. Kenya is different than Tanzania. South Africa is different than Zaire. But they all are African. in the countries, there are different tribes. In this community, there are different tactics, different organizations, but we need them all. Don't let them get you in that, or you with Sharpton, or you with so-and-so. No, we need them all. Whatever I can do, let's do that. Whatever somebody else can do, if it's going to help us, let's do that. Don't let them divide us on foolishness. And we just engaged, we just been in politics for real the last 50 years when we got the right to vote with protection. So don't let them divide you in politics. You're going to have a race, run. Run on the platform and the program. Don't run on who you like and act like we having a gang war. I'm with so-and-so, you can't talk to me. No, let's debate this out. People ask me who you support for. First of all, I don't even know who running. And I don't know where they running. What I support is equal protection under the law and equal opportunity, including equalizing the economy. Now, I'm supporting whoever can do that the best. And sometimes it ain't the one that look the best and that's the most eloquent. Sometimes it's somebody rough-edged. But sometimes God needs rough-edged people to break this madness up. And people that can see and that are wise. Reverend Jackson called me this morning. I'm in the office before I come out. And he was talking, you know, every once in a while, he'll still think I'm 12 years old when he met me and give me a sermonette on the phone. Al, what you gonna talk about the rally this morning? Well, let me tell you what about the way. Before I can answer, he gonna tell me what I should talk about. That's what I tell you, he still think I'm 12. But he said to me that when we talk about it, and I thought this was a profound point. He said when we talk about the wise men that went to Bethlehem to give gifts to Jesus, what made them wise is they recognized who Jesus was. The gifts didn't make them wise, Stephen Marshall. What made them wise is that if they were going by society standards, they would say we can't give gifts to a kid born in a stable, didn't even have a room in the inn, don't know if his mama and daddy got a marriage certificate. We can't give gifts to him. What made them wise is they didn't let his socioeconomic status, didn't let his geopolitical place confuse them about the star in the east said this is God's son. You too busy letting society's measures tell you who you need to serve. Jesus said, if you love me, feed my sheep. Don't judge my sheep. Don't figure out what sheep you gonna like. Feed my sheep. Well, how do I know which sheep is yours? Feed them all. If you feed them all, you don't have to worry about missing the ones that you ought to be feeding. Yes. And if you can't take the pressure, then you can't be used. Because a lot of us only want to deal with the God of giving us luxurious things. And I'm not against people having good things. But don't serve God to get luxurious stuff. Serve God so you can serve the enhancement of his people. I serve a God that'll give you this, that, or the other. No, I serve a God that if you serve him, he will reward you. Yes. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, and then all these things will be added. You want the addition without the seeking. You got to start with what is the relative thing that needs to be served. Yes, so here we are, 2023. Got right-wingers now that denied the 2020 election, now on the oversight committee in Congress. How you gonna put folks that denied an election over oversight? People that supported the January 6th insurrection on Homeland Security. They made a mockery out of government. They've got those that wanted to overthrow the government in charge of the government. Those that had people storm the Capitol, talking about they were going to hang the Vice President Pence, put their feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk, ridiculed members of Congress, calling them names. 4 people died. And these people that sanctioned them are now being put on committees over committees. And where is the voice of the church? Where? Don't tell me about Belshazzar and Nebuchadnezzar and ignore what they're doing right now. You talking about the rulers in the Bible? What about the rulers right now? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. God is a relevant presence and deals in every time and every generation and every era. God didn't stop in Revelations. They just stopped writing. God is still God. And the same God that could deal with Pharaoh and Belshazzar and Nebuchadnezzar is the same God that can help us deal with these right-wing rulers that want to roll back the clock. God is still on the throne. But that run you right back into why I'm telling you they want you to forget who you are. Let me tell you something. All my church folk watch on Impact TV. The black church was outlawed until the Emancipation Proclamation. Well, what are you talking about, Shabbat? You could not have certain gatherings because of Nat Turner and the rebellions. They had broke down where they didn't want any slaves gathered more than 2 or 3 at a time. Because they may be plotting slave rebellions. Y'all got that? See, a lot of y'all be running around with African garb but got the wrong kind of mind. Ain't no use putting a crown on the head of a dummy. Crown in ignorance. Don't change your name and not change your mind. Hello. So they wouldn't let them gather. That's why I used to tell people, Walston, they wondered why black preachers, we do what they call hooping. And I could never find out. I checked every book I could where hooping came from. And then I came up with my own theory. My theory was that hooping started when they had outlawed us talking in church. After the slave rebellions now. They said, y'all can't gather, and if you do, the slave master gonna come here with y'all saying. So when the preacher got up, no, ain't no sermons, y'all sing. So the preacher learned how to hoop because the master thought he was singing. That's Sharpton theory now. So the slave master there, and y'all singing Amazing Grace, then the preacher get up and say the Lord will make a way, and slave master looking, and said, and God will take you through, and slave master listening. About to stop, and he says, and I know the Lord will make a way. Oh, yes, he will. Slave master, oh, he's singing, that's all right. That's where hooping come from. We came from folk that found a way to get around all of those that held us in bondage. We took the distortions they took out of the Bible and turned it around. And what they used, they thought they were using to enslave us. We turned it around and made it free us. That's why I tell my friends, they did not introduce us to Jesus. Folk talk about Christianity was a white man's religion. That's not true. The first Christian state on the globe was Ethiopia in 3 AD. The Ethiopian Coptic Church before it ever got to Rome. We knew who Jesus was before Michelangelo took the wrong brush and painted him wrong. We knew who Jesus was. St. Mark went to Africa. We knew the story of a baby born in a manger, that they had to escape to Egypt and North Africa to save his life. We know who Jesus was. We know. Don't give folk credit for giving us what we already had.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then they put pressure on you. Why they put pressure on you? Because if they put the pressure on you, you will deny who you was. They got the story in the Bible. I stay in the book, folk talk about, I'm on some gospel stations, so that's why I always go right back to the book. Esau, Jacob, what was the story? Sold his birthright for some porridge. He was so hungry. Brother said, if you just give me your birthright, I'll give you a little piece of bread. And some of us in the pulpit, some of us in legislative chambers, some of us in business corporations, for a little piece of bread will sell out your grandmama, deny your granddaddy, deny the people you come from, selling out your birthright. You went in a strong black man, a sanctified black woman, and they broke you down. You sold your birthright out. You don't know who you are and where you come from, but I don't care how much pressure you put on me. I'll know who I am. I don't want your bread.
Yes, sir.
That's why I tell them I don't care what they give us.
Yes, sir.
We are a civil rights organization in the spirit of Dr. King.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They can give us a TV show. I'm still here. We still marching. We still protesting. Give us a radio show, same thing. I dealt with the last 5 presidents, same thing. I remember when President Obama got in, they talking about, well, you know, Obama's in and Sharpton got access to the White House. That's right, I did. And I did Trayvon Martin while Obama was president. I led the marches for Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown in Ferguson, Eric Garner in New York, all while he was president. I'm not giving up who I am. I'm not selling out my birthright. You may be so weak that one trip to the White House and you forget who you are. I didn't go to the White House to meet a guide to walk around and see the White House. I went there on a mission, and I had something to say. And every time I go, I got something to say. Because God did not randomly check me. He chose me and set me aside to do what I do. And he said, if you'll stand up, I'll hold you up. Some of y'all just Jeffing. They used to have a show on TV, The Jeffersons. Moving on up. You trying to make what? Whatever you make, it don't change you from who you are. God did not make no mistake when he made you. I tell people all the time, I like when I'm flying and I look and see the order of the universe. You ever notice the stars don't bump into the moon? Moon don't bump into the sun. Everything is in order. They run around now trying to get to Mars, trying to get to Jupiter. And everywhere they've got to go through different altitudinal rules because God set everything in order. So if God set everything in order, why do you think he got to you and made his first mistake? Set the galaxy in order. Set the solar system in order. Planets rotate around the sun with the right precision. But he waited to get to you to decide he's going to mess up. So if God didn't make a mistake, that meant he intended for you to be who you are and what you are. And that he would use you as that to make the difference you're supposed to make. God made you black. God made you brown. God made you white. God made you the height you are. God made you to the parents you made. Didn't nobody ask you before you got here to check a box on what kind of mama you wanted or what kind of daddy you wanted. That was chosen for you. And the same way he chose you like that, he put everything in place for you to do what you were born to do. I can't do what others do. I can't get on that keyboard and play like Richardson. I can't get out there and politic like Hakeem Jeffries. I can't sing like Marvin Gaye used to sing. But I can do what Al Sharpton do better than anybody else can do Al Sharpton. If you do you, if you follow what God put in you, and God gave you the gift and talent for, then you will go and become all that you never dreamed you can become. Because God didn't make no mistake. Quit arguing with yourself and be at peace and submit to the calling in your life. God called everybody to do something. Stand up and do it. I'm talking to somebody this morning. You wrestling, well, should I do it? Checking with your friends. God don't need no cosigner to call you. What you think. I don't care what you think. You didn't make me. God made me. If God called me, even if it don't make sense, he wouldn't have called me to do something that he wasn't going to make a way for me to do it. And yes, you're going to have trouble. Yes, you're going to find challenges. And you're going to have trouble anyhow. Don't act like if you don't do your calling that life is going to be free of all kind of trouble. You're going to have trouble no matter what you do. I'd rather have trouble about doing something than trouble about doing nothing. I'd rather have anxiety on my way to doing something worthwhile that have anxiety because I ain't worthwhile. You and I, I was talking to Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. Let me tell y'all something about this having trouble thing. I'll let you go after this, but I want y'all to, Dyson said something to me that I found very, very helpful. He said that, I don't know, Reverend Al, if you ever heard this story about this mother was teaching her daughter about how you can have the same situations facing different people and different things, and they react differently. And it's the story of black folks in America on a broader level. He said she took her daughter in the kitchen and she put 3 pots on the stove, on 3 different burners. And she put water in each of the 3 pots. She turned the heat up in each one, the flame, the same measure in each pot. She said she put some carrots in one. She put in the second one some eggs. And in the third one, she put some coffee beans, some black coffee beans. Said after it bubbled up, and they all now the same flame, after it bubbled up and they all were the same heat, she said, look in the pot of carrots. The carrots were sturdy, the carrots were strong, the carrots were one pot, but one thing that she saw is the carrots had become soft and boiled down. And the heat took the hardness away from the carrot. Some of y'all like that. Some of y'all, the heat takes you from being hard and makes you soft. She said, now look at the eggs. Well, the eggs are liquidy inside with a thin shell on the outside. And they put in the water made the inside hard. Yeah. And the outside shell became even softer. You could peel it off and you can see that the heat made the inside of the egg strong and the liquidy gone. She said, but baby, wait and look in the third pot. She looked in the third pot. And she said, what about the coffee beans? She said, I don't see the beans. She said, what do you mean you don't see the beans? She said, all I see is the darkness, black water. She said, because some of us are so strong that when they throw us in the hot water, we don't change on the inside. We change the water that they put us in. Yes. Some of us are like black tea beans. Yes. We didn't become hardened by America. Yeah. We didn't become soft by America. Some of us were strong enough till we changed America. You put us in the back of the bus. But now we're a black woman vice president. You took us out of the schools, but now we're sitting on the Supreme Court. You threw us in the water, but look at the water now. Your children is singing our songs. Your kids are rapping our raps. We changed the water. They told me I wouldn't be nothing, going nowhere, nobody. But look at us now. We changed in the water. Sitting up on Meet the Press, we changed the water. Talking to the presidents of the United States, we changed the water. Got white kids walking around talking about no justice, no peace. We changed the water. Yes, sir. I told Dyson, I'm going to use that. I said, Dyson, it reminds me, they got a play that's been on Broadway a long time called The Lion King. Yeah. Some of y'all may have gone to see it. The part of The Lion King I like is it got the scene where Simba the young lion, started messing around, going after just taunting the others that he was around. They were laughing at him, mocking him. You know, he would roar and they'd laugh. They say, "Look at this! Him trying to look at us and scare us." You know, sometimes when you are dealing with the hyenas of life, they laugh at you. You know, they feel they overwhelm you. You remember when we first started dealing with some of these police brutality cases, they laughed at us. You can't go up against the police union. Who you think you are fighting? These people at the institutional. But they didn't understand we had simple sense.
Yes, sir.
Because the more the hyenas laughed and mocked them, Simba kept trying to roar at them. He didn't have a lot of strength, but he kept roaring and they kept laughing and he kept roaring and they kept laughing. But all of a sudden, his daddy came. The Lion King came. And when the Lion King came and roared, all the hyenas ran for cover. I show up every Saturday morning to say, I may not have a strong roar, but if I show up, my daddy gonna come. I got a God that is my father. And when my daddy roars, the rocks gonna cry out. When my daddy roars, the earth gonna tremble. When my daddy roars, the first will be last, and the last will be first. And the lion and the lamb we're gonna lay down together. I'm gonna wait for daddy to roar. Daddy gonna roar. I don't care who you put in Congress. You wait till my daddy roars. We will make it. We will get through. We will be victorious. Beams of heaven as I go through this wilderness. Below, yes, yes, yes.
Beams of heaven fall as I go through the wilderness below. Guide my feet in peaceful way. Turn my midnight into day. When in the darkness I would roll, faith always sees a star of hope. Soon from all life's griefs and dangers, I shall be free someday. I do not know just how long it will be. Oh, what the future holds for me. But this I know, if Jesus leads me, I shall head home. I shall head home. Good God Almighty, good God Almighty, I shall get home someday.
Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Singing. it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. We want justice. We want freedom. Everybody's singing. One more time, y'all. One more time, y'all. One more time, y'all. I'm open the doors of the movement. There may be someone here today that never joined National Action Network. You support our efforts, you listen to us on radio or see our programs on television, but never joined National Action Network. I want you, if you're in the auditorium, to just come down to me and let us sign you up right now. If you're listening on the air, you can call right now, 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. But if you're here, just come right to me right now, and we'll have someone sign you up. Come on. Everybody's singing. Come on. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Come on. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. One more time, y'all. One more time, y'all. One more time, y'all. All right. Let me say while we're still on the air, we're getting ready to raise our offering. Many of you listening can go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and you can contribute right on line, or you can call and we can get your information over the phone, and you can contribute right at 877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. I ran into a lady at the airport. She says, I joined National Action Network 3 years ago. I said, well, have you paid since then? She said, no. I said, that's why we got lifetime and annual. You don't join one time and get a lifetime. We get bills every month, just like you do. I can't tell Con Edison, we paid 3 years ago. They said that's when your lights went out 3 years ago. So I need you to give and be part of supporting the work here. You don't have to guess, are we in the work? You can see all the time what we do, and we're going to keep doing it, but we need your support. 1-877-626-4651. All right, let us come forward here, get ready to raise our offering. I need everybody here.